everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode of Education is Freedom. I am your host and your favorite educator, Dr. Danielle Martin, and tonight's show is going to be fire. So I hope you got a pen, a pencil, a pad, something to write with, something to take notes with, because you're gonna need it. So in this space, we discuss all things education, and as we know, education takes place both inside and outside of the classroom. And so here we invite fearless, purpose-driven leaders, change makers, and advocates from all over. So I'm going to read my amazing guest. I'm going to read her bio, and then she's going to jump in, and we're going to get right to it. So my guest for this evening is the amazing Dr. Linnie S. Carter, APR. Dr. Carter is the Vice President of College Advancement at Harrisburg Area Community College, Central Pennsylvania's community college, and Executive Director of the HACC Foundation. She joined the HACC team in March of 2012, and she serves all 5 of HACC's campuses. She oversees the HACC Foundation, admissions, advertising, alumni affairs, branding, community engagement, fundraising, grants, graphic design, special events, marketing, photography, public relations, publications, scholarships, sponsorships, videography, and website development. Somebody said she does it all. Dr. Carter's previous appointments include Vice President of Institutional Advancement at Halifax Community College in Weldon, North Carolina, Vice President of College Advancement at then Lord Fairfax Community College, and Director of Institutional Advancement at John Tyler Community College, also in Virginia. She served as Executive Director of the foundations at each of these institutions. In addition, Dr. Carter was an Assistant Professor of Public Relations at North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro, North Carolina, and adjunct faculty member at Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, Virginia. And she previously was Public Relations Manager and Community Affairs Coordinator of the Richmond, Virginia Metropolitan Authority. Please welcome to the show, Dr. Linnie Carter.
Good evening, Dr. Danny. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you. Thank you for accepting. How are you this evening?
I am doing great. It's Friday. I'm with you, one of my amazing sorors. I'm excited about the topic, and so it's been a good day.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. So listen, everybody, I told you that you were going to need a pen, a pencil, a notepad, something, your phone. You're going to need to take notes tonight. Tonight's episode title is The Battlefield, Navigating Racism and Misogyny as a Black Woman in Leadership. So this is one of the hot topics in education right now. Well, not just right now, but all the time for us. And we need to come to the platform to discuss it. And so I read parts of your bio, but if you could, I just would like to highlight your educational journey. How did you land at this point in your career? What motivated you to be in this current space? Can you tell us about that?
I sure can. I am a first-generation college student. My parents do not have college degrees. And so I always knew I was going to college because it was instilled in us at a very early age. Went to VCU, earned a bachelor's in public relations, mass comm, went on to get my master's at VCU, and then went to get a PhD. I have built my career around higher education, and it's very interesting because I'm CBC. So I'm challenged by choice. I knew at 18 years old, I didn't want children, but I've always loved children and I've always been good with children. And so when I look back and reflect when I was 18 and I'm now 53, the reason I didn't want children is because I have a lot of children now. I love helping young people to achieve their goals. And so I knew and was told by my parents that if you get your education, you pretty much can write your own ticket. I now know that that journey can be very different depending upon what you want. For me, it was traditional. Go, get your bachelor's and your master's and your PhD. For others, it's For example, my husband, he has his CDLs, right? Very different journey, but still making a great living, great income. Um, I am blessed to have a doctorate because as I earned that degree in 2009, so many Black women will never achieve that degree for many reasons. So you and I are among a very privileged group of people, but I do it because for my ancestors who did not have these opportunities, for the Black women coming behind me who deserve and will have these opportunities. I don't take it for granted for this journey. And because I know that higher education can be a game changer for Black people, it just made sense for me to be in this space. I will tell you, and this is not a good thing, HAC was founded in 1964, and I was hired in 2012. I'm the first ever Black woman vice president at the college, which is, why did it take so long? We've had Black male vice presidents. I'm the first ever. And I tell people that is unacceptable. I am not the last because we now have 3 amazing Black women vice presidents, but I am the first in the history of the college. And so what that means is I am making decisions today, Dr. Danny, that will positively impact Black women students and employees who I would never meet. Yeah. And I'm fighting the fight every day, hoping to make it better for them because I don't want them to fight the way that I fought. And baby, I have fought every day for my life in some cases, my entire career, including at the college. And as I tell people, you can love something and still critique it. And so while I love my time, I've been there almost 12 years and I love the institution. HAC has been good to me and good for me. I do not shy away from speaking my truth about my experiences as a Black woman leader there. And I will not hold back this evening.
Well, all right. Okay, so just for the audience members, on this evening's episode, we are going to talk about some things that may be tough for others to hear us talk about, but this is what everyday life is like for the professional Black woman. And so tune in, you can be an ally, or you may look like myself and my guest. So we just reviewed your amazing bio and we've talked about your journey here. And so how challenging has it been to navigate these systems as a woman of color, as a Black woman?
Well, I will tell you, I have never wanted to be anything but a Black woman. Like, why would you? So I love being a Black woman. I thank God every day that I was born a Black woman. But let me tell you, it is not for the faint of heart. You are a double minority. And the reason why we are targeted every single day in all spaces because people are jealous of us. People want to be like us. Admiration for healthy people looks like this. Dr. Danny, I admire your empathy. I love how empathetic you are, and I want to improve that. Can you give me some tips? That's healthy admiration. Unhealthy admiration is hate. And when Black women are targeted by white people, especially white women, other people of color, and even some of our own people, it's because they're jealous. And instead of them admiring us in very positive ways, they want to be us and they know they don't have the capacity or the range. And so what they do, they attack us. Because we all know the quote from Malcolm X, how the Black woman is the most disrespected person in the world. And it's true. And we're amazing. And what's really interesting about the journey as a Black woman leader in higher education particularly is that we take care of everybody. If you want, I always tell my husband, if I was ever in a place and I felt unsafe, if I find a Black woman, I know she's going to take care of me. Because we are taught and raised and nurtured to do that. We take care of our Black men, our Black children. We take care of white people too. We're very loyal, but it can be a curse because what we find is we give so much to other people and they rarely reciprocate. Because even though I don't have children, I'm childless by choice, I'm a mama bear. So my protection comes with my team, my husband, my siblings, my father, my nieces and my nephews, right? But it's a constant fight. I can rarely get through a day without having to check somebody because of racism and misogyny. And I don't believe in turning the other cheek, Dr. Danny. I wasn't raised to do that. So when you come for me professionally, I'm coming for you. Another thing that I do not is I do not coddle my oppressor. I don't care about your tears. And Hack is my fourth community college. So when I talk with you this evening, I'm going to talk about my experience at the 4 community colleges I've worked at and the 2 4-year schools I've worked at. Okay. I don't believe in centering my oppressor. So if there's a microaggression and a person cries who started the fight, I'm not going to like, oh, it's okay. I'm going to sit there and I'm not going to center your tears. And so what I do is I'm a high performer. I was raised to be a high performer. I've been smart my whole life. So that was never a challenge for me. I've never struggled academically. I graduated from VCU, a predominantly white institution, magna cum laude, in Richmond, Virginia. And if you know the history,
yes,
that's like the Confederacy.
Right.
So magna cum laude, predominantly white school, in 1992. So I've always been smart. So people can't take that from me. But let me tell you, I'm a tall Black woman. I'm 5'9". I'm outspoken. I'm very confident, but never cocky. I'm warm. I'm down to earth. But when I tell you I am a threat to people, because they can't get in my head and try to dim my light. Nobody can do that. And they're jealous, right? And I'm very giving. I'm very generous with my information.
Okay, wait, pause. I got to pause here. I got to pause.
Do it.
Woo! Okay, so I want to pause and back up.
Please.
You mentioned a couple things. You said that you've had to check folks at work.
All the time.
I'm very, so I'm going to ask a couple questions.
Please.
You've had to check folks at work. I'm very interested for the audience to hear what that really looks like. You know, I think for us in our language, it's very much a don't come for me unless I send for you type of situation. And so we need to talk about the checking. And then I want to, you mentioned as well, racism and misogyny. I want to talk about that and how that plays a part in our professional life. So go for it.
Absolutely. And I'm going to talk about I worked at 4 community colleges and 2 4-year schools. So at one of the schools that I worked at, and I've usually been the only one. And one of the things that I tell people, it's not cute to want to be the only one. You should never want to be the only Black woman in a group. When I meet Black women who want to be the only one, they're dangerous, right? Because what happens is you want to be centered. You see other Black women as a threat and you start to target them. Find me a Black woman who wants to be the only one, and I'll find you someone who's not safe for Black women. So first of all, I never want to be the only one. It's dangerous. Why do you want to be the only one? Why do you not want someone who like-minded, share the struggle, be an outlet for you? So if you find someone who wants to be the only one, and this is for everybody listening, they are not safe and you're not safe with them. You should never want to be the only one in a professional setting. You should want people who can be allies with you, and all skin folk ain't your kinfolk either. So let me give you a couple of examples. At one of the community colleges that I worked at, and for all 4 community colleges, I was the leader of advancement. And for all of them, I was executive director of the foundation. And all of them, I was on the president's cabinet. All of them, I reported to the president. We did not have Google. And so donor wanted to meet with me, talk with me by phone, delightful. And they were scheduled to come to my office for an appointment. So I had given instructions for my team to escort them to my office when they arrived. So the time I'm checking them out, I'm like, they're not here. So I go out and I say, hey, where's Mr. Donor Man, white male? And my team member, who was a white woman, she was very apologetic. She said, I'm so sorry, Linnie. He saw your picture and he asked me if that was you. And she told him yes. And he said, she's Black. And she said, yes. And he said, I'm not meeting with her. True story. So he left. And she didn't come in because she was embarrassed. She said, I didn't know how to tell you. And I said, so I immediately emailed the president and I said, hey, I just want you to know this white man is coming to make a gift. Saw my picture, said, is she Black? Yes, she's Black. And he said, I'm not meeting with her. And my president, to his credit, said he can keep his money. True story. And this was not in like 1912. I'm only 53. This is
Right.
like in the 2000s,
So
right?
let me back up a minute and say that this individual did not want to donate to the school, which would benefit the students. He saw you and was like, yeah, no, it's a wrap.
It is. And this is the funny part. Over the phone, we delightful. He was delightful. Oh, I can't wait to meet you. And baby, when he saw that melanin, he was like, she's black, blackity black, blackity black. And yeah. And he said, no. And I never even saw him. He left and she said, I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to tell you. And I said, I dodged a bullet. And so he wasn't even subtle. He was very comfortable with his racism. And can you imagine? And again, this was not that long ago. Another time I was hired in a role and I had been doing the job for years at other places. And I was new and I met this white male at the time. He was a board member. He said, oh, this must be a steep learning curve for you. And I said, actually, it's not. I've done this job many times before. I'm an expert in this space. So no, it's not a heavy lift or a learning curve for me at all. He saw my black, beautiful face and he assumed that this was a heavy lift. You and I both know he would never told a white woman that. You because people look at us and see mediocrity, and I despise mediocrity. There's nothing in my DNA that supports mediocrity. I was raised to lean into excellence, right? And whiteness is not my bar. And I tell people this, whiteness is not my bar. I don't compare myself to white people. Why? Because blackness is my standard. I was raised to be excellent. So when I tell people, whenever I meet racists and bigots and white supremacists, I'm always shocked because they are some of the most basic, mediocre people in the world. And one of the reasons why they target us is because they know that they're basic, right? I mean, think about some of the hate you see on comments on Facebook and Twitter and all that. And they can't spell the grammar is horrible. And I'm like, you up here literally using racial slurs and you can't even string together complete sentences. The jokes write themselves, right? So I tell people, when you realize that the reason they target you is because you are exceptional and they know they can't compete without their whiteness, then you realize, girl, you're gonna be just fine. So that was a board member's attempt to get into my head to make me second guess myself. But it's just one problem with that. Doris and Leroy, my parents, they told me decades ago, you are exceptional. You're not better than anyone, but you are exceptional. No one can tell me that I'm not bomb. I've always been bomb.
Come on.
Right? Always, right? And honey, when black women are confident, people are offended. And I tell people also, when you meet people and you're confident, because white people raise their daughter to be confident. Well, my black daddy raised his daughter to be confident.
Right.
See, you're supposed to apologize for raising your kids to be confident, but I've never met a white person to apologize for raising their kids to be confident. So when you know that, you say, I wish I would apologize. You're not apologizing. Didn't you raise your kids?
And let me tell you something, okay? Let me tell you something right now.
You're not doing that.
A black mother and father raised me to be confident and make no apologies about it. I, in turn, have raised two amazing young ladies who are confident and can command the room when they walk into it. And so
command the room, take it over. Have people like,
right?
Who was that?
Who was that?
And it's crazy to me. You're demonizing something that black people do for their kids, but you do it for your kids. The math is not mathing, right? And it also so I went to this event. One of the community colleges went to an event, and I was the only black person there. And you know that in higher education, it is very common for us to be the only one in the room,
right?
And this the person who hosted me was a white woman, very kind, very generous, very good host. And she was introducing me to people. Well, she introduced me to this white woman. And of course, because we have home training and we're educated and we know social etiquette, you know, you smile and you say, hello, I'm Linnie Carter. You reach out your hand. And this white woman who I had just met for the first time shook my hand and promptly wiped her hand on her skirt in my face. Now, for those people saying, well, maybe it wasn't about race, it's always about race because she did not do that to anybody else at the event. And it wasn't a coincidence, right? And let me tell you what was interesting, Dr. Danny. She did it so effortlessly in my face, didn't even give it a second thought because she's been doing it her whole life. Now, it was probably subconscious, but subconscious is like truth telling. What you do, you know, how you say when you get a person drunk and they start telling some stuff, that's how they
Right.
really felt about you. They just needed some liquid courage to just tell you their true story.
Right.
She did that in my face because she's been wiping her hand on her skirt after shaking Black people's hands her whole life. So it did not matter to her that she did it in my face because she's been doing it all along. And because she's been doing it, she didn't even catch herself. Right? And then we have the situation, clutch your pearls for this. All 9 of them.
Okay.
Had a situation. So if you walk into my office, I've always had my 3 degrees, they're framed together. My bachelor's, my master's, and my PhD. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you walk into my office and it's the first thing that you see. And I had a person to walk in and they said, you've done well for yourself considering that you grew up at risk. Now, I had never discussed my background or upbringing with this person. So I was literally puzzled and really I was confused. You've done well for yourself in light of the fact that you grew up at risk. A white male in his 70s said this to me, and I was puzzled. And I said, I'm so sorry. What do you mean? Well, you grew up at risk. And then I said, oh, that's right. Because in a racist mind, Black woman, Black anything means at risk. And I said, I've never grown up risk. 2-parent home, had a car at 16, never been pregnant, never used drugs, got 3 degrees. And I said, in fact, you're more at risk than I am because you don't have a college degree. I said it and I meant it. And at that point, he realized that he had stepped his foot in and he was trying to backpedal too late. And what did I do again? Immediately informed the college president, who, of course, took my side. Literally in my face, told me I was at risk. And
so what people don't realize is, we hear this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
we hear this phrase a whole lot. Racism? What do you mean? There's no racism. Or here's the drum roll, please. I'm not a racist. I have a Black friend. I have a Black boyfriend. I have a Black girlfriend. And people don't realize that we have been living these lives for a very long time. And people also don't realize that racism, it's in the fabric. It's in the DNA of this country.
Everywhere.
If you read, go back in time and read things, it's right there in our face. And so education is freedom, correct? Education will set you free. And that's for everybody.
Yes.
Go and do your own research. Go and read. Yes, we have a serious problem with racism and casting. And so all these people just these thoughts don't come out of anywhere, right? Like we've been conditioned over years and years. Mm-hmm. So for him to say that to you, that's part of conditioning. He really deep down, 1, believes that, and 2, believes that it wasn't offensive to you when he said it.
Mm-hmm. And this is the thing and I totally agree with you about the racism. And one of the things that I tell people, and my white friends, and I have amazing white friends because my white friends they're vetted very carefully because you're not going to be a friend of mine and oppress me. Like, that's crazy, right? So I don't have white friends who say, oh, we don't believe you. Because first of all, if you think that this is my lived experiences are fake, we can't be friends off the bat. I tell Black people, stop trying to convince people of your lived experiences. If somebody's telling you they don't believe you, why are they in your life? You better not be dating them. You sure shouldn't be married to them. They shouldn't be your friends. Your boss probably should get another job. Your coworker check them. Like, you should not have people in your face comfortably denying your lived experiences. I will tell you this. If you were to put 1,000 women in a room from all Black women from every corner of the globe, not the country, the globe, our experiences are 95% identical, maybe 5% variations. Everybody can't be making this up.
Right.
I meet women from other parts of the world, and we within 5 minutes, like, girl, you too. Our stories are near identical. We're not making this stuff up. We can't. Right. And so the first thing that you can do to burn a bridge with me is to deny my lived experiences. And it's not just white people. There are other people of color and Black people who practice white supremacy. You can practice white supremacy and not be white. Self-hating Black people are more dangerous to me and you than a racist white person.
Are y'all taking notes? Well, I need to know if y'all are taking notes out there.
Okay.
Because
they are. So that misogyny and racism comes from you are, and I'll give you an example. I had to deal with a situation recently where a person who's not part of they don't work with me, did racist stuff to me in a meeting, and I checked them in front of other people. A Black woman in the space, and this was on Zoom, did nothing to come to my aid. Now, if it was a white male who did something, said something inappropriate, and I said, oh no, and I checked them. White people, a Black woman, she sat there, didn't say a word. Now, there would never be a time that I would watch a Black woman fighting for her life on a Zoom and be like this. I'd have been nodding in the chat, raising my hand to speak, to join in. So when I tell you, and that was very hurtful, but I said, not a problem. I know better because I know what it means to show up for Black women. If I'm not going to show up for anybody, I'm going to show up for Black women because we all we got in many times in these spaces, right? And I am very blessed. I want to give a shout out to my biggest ally at work is my white boss, college president, Dr. Ski, who is an advocate publicly and privately and rides for me and other Black women at HAC.
Publicly and privately. Because
private support doesn't matter. Don't tell me. Tell them.
Tell them.
Right? And so he does it both publicly and privately. And you know that for yourself.
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
I would tell you, Dr. Danny, being in a space where I had to check a white man who I don't work with him, who was very comfortable and doing what he did because he's done it to other Black women, gotten away with it. And she sat there with no support. It was very hurtful. But trust me when I tell you, I would never have done it to her. And that's okay because, we got a little thing we call KARMA, karma. Karma's busy these days. He coming for everybody. And unfortunately, she's going to know what that feels like. I do think the ancestors are going to show up and be like, girl, you were wrong to do that. And that's okay. That's some self-hate. And she has to live with that. And unfortunately, that will not be my last time dealing with that. And that's okay. That's okay.
Let me
tell you another thing too. Black men need to do a better job in the professional settings of advocating for Black women. We are naturally nurturers. Most Black women are raised to protect Black men. And in professional settings, all of them that I've worked in, Black men don't support Black women. It's not all of them. I have worked with Black men who are amazing. They got my back, ride or die.
Yes.
The majority, though, they're not riding for Black women. But if they get into a jam, they're looking for us to bail them out. But they're not going to bail us out. And it's not all Black men, but it's too many of them. But if a white woman gets into a jam, he's going to push us to the side to help her. And we need to unpack why we continue to not have unity, and why we continue to center whiteness, and why we continue to treat. And I tell people, most people will treat a bad white man better than a good Black woman. Let me repeat that. Most people in a professional setting will treat a bad white man better than a good black woman. And that's not just white people. I've seen black people do it too. We need to unpack why we hate ourselves so much that we will center people who are bad and not people who are good.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying, the education of it. If you all out there listening have not read the Willie Lynch letter, The Making of a Slave, you should read that, because to your point, Dr. Liney, that tells that you just said we need to unpack that. That was the blueprint.
Truly.
How they just, y'all need to go and do your homework and read that. I'm not even going to tell you. I need you to go and read it.
Divide and conquer.
That right there. Mm-hmm. That's it. And so at the time of the speech or the letter, it was 1712. And, you know, he basically was like, you know, if you put these practices into play, they will for sure work for at least 300 years. So 300 years from 1712, that's 2012 at least, right? Here we are, 2024. What really has changed? Mm-hmm. Not much. And so for you all out there, if you've never heard of it, you can Google it. You can buy the book off of Amazon. You can do whatever you need to do to begin to educate yourself around these things. We are the living example of what was put into place back then, which is it. And I'll tell you, it's a hurtful read. It literally brought tears to my eyes thinking about the evil. You know, I am a super empath, and I was like, how and why, you know, but that is still into play today. And we just need to be more mindful of that. I want to take a minute because you kind of hit on this in some of the things that you were explaining and discussing. Can we take a minute to discuss imposter syndrome? And for the audience members who may not have heard the term, or you don't know what that means, imposter syndrome, and I've got this from the dictionary, is a psychological condition that is characterized by persistent doubt concerning one's abilities or accomplishments, accompanied by the fear of being exposed as a fraud despite evidence of one's ongoing success. So Dr. Carter, can you take a minute to kind of address this, and how does this imposter syndrome hurt us?
It does, and too many Black women suffer from it. It does hurt us. I never want a person to feel ashamed by those real feelings of imposter syndrome and feeling like you're not enough. However, I tell Black women who struggle with it, you can't stay in that space. Get the help that you need, right? Get the help that you need. No shame. Don't apologize for it. There's nothing wrong with you, but you can't stay at that place because it will destroy you. Mm-hmm. We have had centuries of people, media, movies, books, articles, parents, bosses, elected officials telling Black women that we're never enough, right? Demonizing us in one breath, but copying us in the other. Yet again, the math is not mathing. Purposely wanting to get into your head and make you think you're less than, going out of their way to make you feel unwelcome, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm.
I may have lost her. Got it.
Imposter syndrome can be very harmful to us. You know, we don't want to shame people again. We don't want to shame people for, especially Black women, for feeling that way. But we can't stay in that place. So I do encourage people to seek professional help. There's no shame in seeking professional help. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I have found, the most brilliant Black women are the ones who suffer from imposter syndrome. And so it's important for us to help to remind them of how awesome they are. It's important for us to help them to straighten their crown, reinforce it. And one of the things that I do, I have a predominantly woman team. Most of my teams professionally have been majority white women. And my team is amazing at HACC. Very blessed to have them. I'm a very non-traditional leader. I'm the leader who says to the women on my team, when you go to a meeting and someone's asking someone to take minutes, let the men do it. You're not the help. Let the men do it, right? I'm the one on my team saying, you can be angry. It's a normal emotion to be angry. And if you're a Black woman, no one tells white people and men they can't be angry. So you can be angry too. It's a real emotion. Well, they're going to label me an angry Black woman. They're going to label you no matter what you do. So if you're going to get labeled anyway, you might as well go ahead and speak your truth. And you can be angry and be professional, but we need to stop telling people to not be angry. It's a normal emotion, right? I'm the one who tells women you can vent and no one's going to call you emotional or say calm down. Telling somebody on my team to calm down, it's just not going to end well, right? So when you have a confident woman leader like me, encourage you to be your authentic self. Do not dim your light. You can disagree. You're not going to be written up or threatened and all that. And you're amazing. Girl, like, straighten up, hold your head up, right? One of my team members came into my office some years ago, a white woman, amazing. We have a very close relationship. And she has since left the college, so we transitioned to being friends now. I do not befriend my team. I don't believe in crossing those professional boundaries, but once you leave, we are now friends. And right. I adore her. So she came into my office some years ago when she was part of my team, and she just needed a little pep talk. And she was experiencing imposter syndrome. And I told her, I said, she had just completed this amazing, significant initiative. And she was experiencing imposter syndrome. And I said, look out the window. And I said, you see him? It was a white male. I said, you see how confident he's walking across campus? And I said, he did not do anything remotely as amazing as you did last week. And yet he's walking across campus and he owns the place because this country has told him as a white male that he owns the place. Well, guess what? You own the place too. You are brilliant. I'm listening to all these things I've done that she's done. And she's like, I felt better. I just needed a pep talk. Well, I do that for Black women, my mentees, the women in my life, my relatives, my team members who are Black women. They need the encouragement more than others because we're dumped on more than any other demographic.
Yes.
And if you read Michelle Obama's The Amazing Forever First Lady, her book Becoming, yes. She talks about that in one of her chapters, how, she would go to these events with like heads of state and kings and queens and prime ministers and CEOs. And she said, these people are not as smart than me. She said, I blow them out of the water. I'm paraphrasing. She said, these people basically are basic. And all this time we put these labels on people. They're not even smarter. They're not smarter than me. And that's the secret that I tell Black women who struggle with imposter syndrome. You're dimming your light. You don't feel like you belong. You don't feel like you belong at the table. When in fact, you could have built that table.
Right.
Like your creativity, your brilliance, your level of empathy, most of the people in the room are not even in your range or capacity. You blow them out of the water in most categories. You have no business having imposter syndrome. They should be the ones feeling imposter syndrome.
And you know what? You know what else too? I'd like to add to that and say, from a spiritual level, we are all made and created in God's image, right? And this is why having a tribe is so important, because you got to remember whose you are, right? You got to remember who sent you, right? And so admittedly, my very first class of my doctoral program, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I don't know about this. I just had a lot of questions, a lot of doubt, and I have a spiritual mentor. So several mentors. I have some spiritual mentors who quickly reminded me, excuse me, gathered me together in love, but also took me to the good book and showed me in the word whose I am, who I belong to, who sent me, who made it all possible and who's about to just blow it up for me when I'm done. And so I think that's part of it too, that, you know, if you have a spiritual connection, you got to remember who you belong to. And so it doesn't matter what anybody else has to say about it. I'm here. I am the table. I'm here on purpose for a purpose. And whatever you got to say about it doesn't matter. I'm going to be here.
Absolutely.
So sometimes you have to have those self-talks with yourself too. Like, all right, sis, we about to get into it.
It's true. One of the questions that I get asked by my mentees, most of my mentees are Black women. How did you get to be so confident? And are you afraid why are you not afraid to speak out? One, I'm confident because I know whose I am. It goes back to my upbringing and my Christianity and my faith, right? I tell people, I said, I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses, the things I'm not good at. There are some things that's just not my thing. I'm not good at them, right? But the things I am good at, I am great at.
Yeah.
One of the things that I don't do that helps with my self-confidence, I don't compare myself to other people because we are all different, built in His image. Why would I compare to myself to somebody else? Totally different life, totally different journey, totally different purpose in life, purpose on earth, totally different walk with God. Like, why am I comparing myself? So I don't. But I tell them, I say, the self-confidence comes from being comfortable in my own skin. I'm not trying to impress people because you're not paying my bills. Like, seriously, like, it's very simple. Why do I care what you think about me? First of all, you can't even compete. You don't have the rating capacity. You're a lightweight. So that's first of all, I'm not competing with a lightweight. Sorry, but you're lightweight. So we're not competing because it would be a complete waste of my time. You're not in the same range. You don't have the capacity. So we're going to put you over there. And then you focus on, who do you compete with? Who do I compete with, Dr. Danny? Linnie Carter. I want to be a better person today than I was yesterday. And that's the confidence in that I am enough. I'm amazing. My warts, because I have them, my warts are not significantly adversely impacting somebody else's life. I'm not out here cheating on my husband. I ain't stealing. I ain't lying. I'm not cheating. I'm not mistreating my staff. I'm not abusing people. But the things that I need to work on, I'm very comfortable in them. And I call myself out. And I have people in my circle who call me out. But I will tell you this, you got to have people in your corner who will hype you up too. I have people who they call me out, but they love me. My husband of 27 years, almost 28 years, loves my, we say in the South, dirty draws. And
as he should. Come on, Mr. Carter.
I am married to a Black man with a high school diploma as his highest level, who has always been a great provider. Come on, CDL. Come on, owner operator. Come on, truck driver, who is not threatened by a Black woman with a PhD. No one loves me like my husband. No one protects me like my husband. My husband wakes up every morning. You know how he greets me? Good morning, beautiful. Every morning.
Yeah.
So I can't have random people in the street, as my mom would say, trying to get in my head, making me think I don't belong in a room. Right? And when people like try to get their little digs in, I remind them of this fact. I replaced 4 people at Hack. 4. And could not get the job done. He hired one Linnie Carter to replace 4 people, and that shuts them up. There's no imposter syndrome, not from this end. What? Never.
So I'm hearing a couple things in what you said. The first thing that comes to mind is comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
So we just don't need. There's no need to compete with anybody that strips your joy away. The second thing that I'm thinking about is you can't compete where you don't compare. right? So it doesn't matter, again, what anybody has to say about what you have going on, because they can't compete where they don't compare. I'm hearing accountability. So for me personally, my word for this entire year is accountability. If I can't hold you accountable and you can't do the same for me, then you're probably not in my circle. And the last thing I'm hearing in that is love. You know, people, whoever is in your village, your tribe, got to be some love and accountability in there as well. So let me take a we're going to take a just a side to the road here, because I really do want to address this as well, as this has been happening this year. As so, listen, here we go. Recently, there have been heartbreaking reports of Black women in leadership dying. We've had President Joanne Epps, who was 71 at Temple University in Philadelphia, pass. We've had Dr. Orenthia T. Montague, 56, Volunteer State Community College in Tennessee, pass. Those two passed within a week of each other. We've had Antoinette, they called her Bonnie Bailey, out of Lincoln University in Missouri. And she unfortunately completed suicide after reports of her being bullied in the workplace. Do you think there is a link between racial trauma and death here? And what would you say about all of this? And you know what else too? This is so heavy for the Black woman in the professional space and leadership. Like, my heart was broken, hearing about these women. And of course, I work at one of the institutions. We lost President Epps, and I think I was in a fog for a couple of days. I didn't know her personally, and I've only ever heard the most amazing, beautiful things about her from white, Black, and different everybody. But it hurt me to my core. And I think that's a hurt that if you don't identify as a Black woman, you don't understand. What do you think about that?
And I'm sorry for your loss, because I know that with her being a part of the organization, that hits differently. And this is a thing, I've talked about this professionally and personally. I've had white colleagues, well-meaning white people, who say, why do Black people grieve Black people they don't know? And I say, one is because we are a communal people. We are also a familial people. Family and community are important to us. And when something happens to a Black woman, the reason why it hurts us and we grieve with their families and we didn't know them is because it could have been us. And in some cases it was us, but we just didn't have that ending, right? It's empathy. Yeah. I don't have to know you to feel your pain.
Right. Yes.
And one of the things I'm grieving, especially all three Black women, but the Black woman, the beautiful Black woman who died by suicide, that I have struggled with that since it happened. Even at an HBCU, she wasn't safe. And I said, Black women aren't safe anywhere. We're not safe at predominantly white institutions. We're not safe at HBCUs. Where are we safe? And why do we have to die to find peace? Why do we have to die to find peace? That's crazy. I don't think there's a link. There is a direct, proven correlation and relationship between racial trauma and death. For example, in the Black community, suicide is on the increase. One of the top reasons why more of us are choosing suicide is because of racial trauma. Also, to make matters worse, my mother died from Alzheimer's disease in June 2022. I started volunteering with the Alzheimer's Association. I found out some hard truths about the disease and our people. Black people are twice as likely to have Alzheimer's than white people. Women are 2/3 more likely than men to have Alzheimer's. So what does it mean for Black women? We're in both categories. Double whammy, right? And so how do I know there's a link? Because they've done studies. There is a direct link between racial trauma and cognitive decline, dementia, Alzheimer's. Is not a coincidence. That's why you have accomplished professional Black women dying in their 50s and 60s. That's why you have professional, beautiful, brilliant Black women coming down with early onset Alzheimer's. They fought their whole lives against the double whammy of racism and misogyny, because we're double minorities, with no peace. No peace. And I remember talking to Dr. Ski, my current president, several years ago, and I said, I just want to get through one day without having to fight, just one day. Because people will do things to you, expecting you to turn the other cheek, and when you don't, they label you. And I say, label me, because I'm going to fight back. Because if you don't check, and I tell this to young Black women, if you do not check them, they're going to continue to do it and escalate. And the Black women who don't have your voice are watching to see how you navigate. Right. And they're saying, and this is what I say at HAC, if they can bully an outspoken Black woman vice president, then they say, if they can bully her, then I don't feel safe. So they can't bully me because I want her to feel safe. If a Black woman VP does not feel safe, how will a Black woman director,
right,
Black woman counselor, coordinator, who doesn't have my power and my educational privilege and my voice and platform, if I am getting bullied, she can't feel safe. She needs to feel safe just like white people and Black men and other races and genders. So I fight because that's how I was raised. If you don't fight back, how do you feel good about yourself? I sleep good every night because I know I treated people well. I gave 100%, and I fought back every single time. People say, pick your battles. Well, I believe in that. Sometimes even the ones you want to walk away with, you have so much to lose. You can't. Because you know, if I walk away from this, they're going to come back harder tomorrow. Because they're like, oh, we got away with that. How do you, when you think about a bully, think about some of our popular movies when you had bullies. How did the bully stop? You had to whip up some tail, right? Think about your most popular movies. How did the bully stop? Textbook. You had to beat some tail. Yeah. You don't want to do it. You don't have to. So that whole turn the other cheek, it must be nice to be living in a country where you can tell someone that is not my reality as a Black woman. I don't have the other cheek to turn. I don't believe in it. Because the minute that you turn the other cheek, they punching you in your other face, your other cheek. And I said, if I don't stand up, because it was how I was raised, and my ancestors stood up, all the Black women at HAC who will come behind me, they won't feel safe. And they're going to feel safe as long as I'm employed there. And it's tied to the imposter syndrome. It's tied to the self-confidence. But this is what I wanted to tell your viewers as Black women and other people who are following. When you have a Black woman like me in a position of leadership, and I'm catching those blows for you and blocking those blows, can you have my back? If I'm fighting racists, homophobes, white supremacists, and bigots, when you're in the meeting and I'm not there and they're dragging me for filth, can you not sit there? If I'm doing the heavy lifting, I'm the one fighting them. All you have to do is speak up and say, that's not true. You can't say those things about Dr. Carter. That's all. But honey, they'll sit in those meetings and you just offended them on Monday and you getting drugged on Wednesday, and they'll sit in those meetings and not lift a finger to defend you. And that's the part that's upsetting to me. Literally fighting for you, and all you have to do is defend me in a meeting and you sit there. So we have to show up for Black women like me because we're not going to always be there. And you're going to want somebody to show up for you. And when you want someone, and karma, remember, busy. When you want someone to show up for you and you look behind you and you don't see anybody, you will see how it feels. It doesn't feel very good. We must show up because even powerful Black women like me and you, Dr. Danny, need support too. All that's tied to
it's exhausting.
And it is exhausting. It's exhausting, especially when you don't have the support. And I am very fortunate. I have Black women supported me. My white male president, my team, they ride for me. I have white women on my team, they ride for me. Ride for me. I have black women on my team who ride for me. I have men of color on my team who ride for me, right? And I treasure them because I know that it's sincere. It's
Yeah.
not everybody, but it's a majority, and I'm grateful for it, right? But I've taught them the importance of advocacy. Teach people how to
Mm.
show up for you. Don't apologize,
So you know
right?
what? To your point, so let's get into, can you give us some real life strategies? And because I think that's one that are easy to implement in the workplace for Black women in leadership or Black women who have a team like you. Like I told y'all,
Yes.
y'all better be taking notes.
So let me
So
tell you, yes, I
yeah,
can. I'm gonna give you, let me tell you about the two black women VPs. There are
okay,
three of us now. Remember, I was the first one in the history of the college. There are three of us now. Then I'm gonna tell you about the black woman on my team.
okay,
And then I'm gonna tell you about the black women who are not on my team. Three categories.
okay.
Okay. Sister VPs, I call them sister VPs.
I love that.
Black women on my team, and the black women who are not on my team who I mentor. When we hired amazing black woman, Dr. Arminta Hinton, she was hired and she was interviewed and hired in 2020. And we all know what happened in 2020. She was amazing. Her interview was so impactful. We were hugging in her interview. I had never met her, didn't know her. Once she got the job and she started, and what's important was she told me this. She said, when I met you, you were the reason, you were the defining reason that I took the job. When I met you and saw how warm you were and giving and how down to earth you were, she said, you were the reason I took the job. She said, Dr. Ski, big part of it. She said, but you sealed the deal for me. So when they offered a job, she said, absolutely. She told me that. This is what she and I did. We had a conversation with Dr. Ski, the three of us, and this is what we said. We were talking. He was an observer. We've committed to each other. We're never going to let people pit us against each other. We're not going to always agree, but I'm riding for you. They come for you. They're coming for me, right? I'm never going to undermine you. We're not disrespecting. We did this. We had this conversation in front of our white male president who was like so proud, right? You know you're in a healthy environment where two black women are saying this in front of a white male president who is smiling with pride. Not, I can't believe they're saying this, which is what you don't want to have. Literally. And when I tell you we disagree sometimes, but when she and I, you cannot come between us. You're not going to badmouth her to me. You're not going to bad me to her. And this is the thing. At no point that have I ever felt a sense of jealousy with her. I love her up publicly and privately because she is not competition. She is my sister VP, period. And so, and I help her. She helps me. There are things she's good at. I'm like, just yesterday, I asked her for advice and she said something. Oh, I said, that was a word. And when she needs my advice, she calls me. Never once has there been any jealousy between us. I don't do that. So that's colleague, peer to peer. Don't let people divide y'all. Okay, my team. I have 5 or 6 black women on my team. In my head, I'm trying to count them. This is what we do. Wear your braids, wear your locks, wear your lashes. You ain't nobody's gonna police the hair that grows out of your head. And if you want to add something that you bought that to, you don't have to worry about tone. No one's gonna say, well, maybe you don't have to say it that way because no one polices the tone of white women. So they're not gonna police you can use slang, you can be authentic, right? If you tell me somebody mistreated you because of racism and misogyny, anything else, I'm gonna always believe you because you won't lie to me. Why? Because you already know from your interview, if you ever lie to me, I'm gonna fire you. So I know you're not gonna lie to me. Because why would you lie to me? I believe them. Remember my team called me one day. She sent me a text. She said, I have to talk to you. And I said, please call me. And she said, I was in a meeting and this person said this to me. And I was like, okay, what we doing? You calling? I'm calling her. And she said, I'm going to let it fly. I said, no. We don't let things fly on this team. Because if you don't check her, she's going to do it to you or somebody else. So this is your moment. I said, do you want to handle it? Do you want me to handle it? She handled it. Okay. Never happened again. Same situation. Another person, a white woman, left a scathing voicemail on this black woman's work phone. Scathing. And I said, oh no, we're meeting. So 4 of us met, the white woman's supervisor, me, and the black woman who was on my team. Before the meeting, I said, when she cries, not if, Dr. Danny, when she cries, you will not acknowledge her tears. You will not validate your oppressor weaponizing her tears. That's crazy. When she cries, not if, you will sit there and you will not acknowledge her tears because you're the victim. And just like clockwork,
tears.
And we were both just like this. My mama was in my ear. My mama would say growing up, tears don't move me. And I can have empathy, but I do not have empathy for my oppressor. I save my empathy for people who don't oppress me. And at the end of the meeting, it went very well. There was an apology. And for me, I say, if it happens again, this is your past. We're going to HR. Because the person was very apologetic. And it has never happened again. But there was never a time I said, I didn't believe it. I never said, well, maybe you're overreacting. I believed her the first time because I've experienced it. So the first thing you can do is for your team members who are black women, believe them. Now, if you have a liar on your team, why would you employ a liar? I'm not saying if you have a liar, you need to get rid of them.
Right.
But you know your team members aren't going to lie to you. We get questioned enough. Most black women are not going to lie about racism and misogyny because why would you want to lie about something so painful? Believe them.
Right.
The second thing is empower them to check them. Right. So we don't do the whole way. You can't say that. I say, do you check them? They won't get in trouble. You know who's going to get in trouble? And this is the thing that has happened to me that was very painful. So I will never do it to another black woman. You get in trouble for checking them, but they don't get in trouble for the behavior in the first place.
Yes.
So I don't do that. My team, I say, you check them and I will have your back. And if anybody has a problem with it, send them to me. My mom would tell you, they were listening, they'd be like, yep, none of this is made up. They all will tell you this is what I say. And not just the black women, my entire team, but especially the black women, because we're told, well, we have to just take it. Shut up and dribble. Remember, we had a person to tell LeBron James that we shut up and dribble. No, we don't shut up and just dribble, right? We fight back. I believe in calling out racism, misogyny, and white supremacy. I do not center people who cause me harm. I do not coddle them, and I don't care about their feelings. So one of the things that I do is you call them out. If you know there's a person who's a serial racial terrorist, and I'm using that word because that's what it is terrorism. Why don't we all should know who they are. Why would we protect them? Put them on Front Street. But a big part of my job has been to protect my team. And if you have black women who happen to also be Muslim, another level of protection. If you have black women who are black women, Muslim, and they're gay, intersectionality. And then if they are disabled, even more protection, right? And we don't apologize for protecting people because why would we apologize for that? We deserve protection because many times, as we saw with the black woman who felt she had no other recourse but to take her own life, she was not protected and she deserved it. She's a human being. And so I am about the business.
Yeah.
Another question that I get asked, and I think is important to address this because people may say, well, I could never do those things at my job. I've been asked a lot, Dr. Danny, are you afraid of losing your job? And I said, why would I lose my job? Let me tell the people who should lose their jobs, people who embezzle money from their employer, people who don't do their jobs, people who come to work late all the time, people who steal from their job, people who are sexually harassing their coworkers, right? They should be losing their job. A black woman speaking truth to power and advocating for people who don't have a voice should be promoted and revered. I never worry about losing a job. I lose one Monday, get one Tuesday. But this is what I really want to tell you. There is no person on earth who can stop me from making a living, because there's nobody more powerful than God. And
come on.
One of my mentees like, if I said that I might get fired, and I said, then you get another job. I said, unless you think white people are more powerful than God. And she was like, oh, I had to gather her up. Do you think the white person at your job terrorizing you is more powerful than God? Well, no. Then why do you think they can stop you from making a living? Don't you? So fire you for what? What did you do? You won't fire me. When you fire all those people doing the things I just listed, then once you get to that list of 343, then I'll be waiting for you to fire me. Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. I don't worry about being fired. You will not fire me because you gonna get to them first. And my boss would never fire me because I would never do anything to be fired. And last, if you're speaking the truth and somebody wants to fire you, why do you want to work there anyway? And lastly, we got something called lawsuits and lawyers. Get your money, get your bag, run me my money.
Period. Well, I was going to say y'all, okay, wait, because y'all should have been gathered this entire hour. I don't even know if you have any edges left. Okay. I was going to say to everyone listening and watching this podcast, what would you say to encourage them? But that it's a whole lot of empowerment happening here this evening. So if you have any last words that you just want to add, because this thing is smoking.
Oh, I want to do my third group, okay, Dr. Danny.
Oh, yes, your third group.
I did my sister VP, the Black woman on my team, and the Black woman not on my team, right? So I remember this beautiful Black woman was in a Zoom meeting, and I was like, I've never seen her before. I slid into her private chat, and I was like, hey, I'm Linnie Carter. Never seen you before. Welcome to Hack. Hey, here's my email. Reach out to me. And she was so touched. She was like, you're a VP doing that? I said, girl, I'm a Black woman first. The VP, I mean, yeah, I'm a VP, but girl, this is what we do. When you have Black women, reach out to them. Show them a smile when you see them. We speak. I'm a Southerner. So, we speak. We on the front porch waving at people. They drive by in the South, right? Why would I not reach out to her? Because remember, the two things that connect us, family and community, it's just who we are as a people. Reach out to, smile at them, ask them how they're doing, text them to see how they're doing, go into their private chat and say, hey, never met you before. Here's my email. If you need anything, reach out to me. I do that because I know what it feels like to not have a village, right? Yeah. Build your village. And when they need you, show up for them, right? I can't solve all problems, but what I can do, two things. I can listen. And if I can't help you, I can tell you the person who can help you, right? And honestly, most Black women, that's a big help for them. Right? Yeah. Yes, it is. But for advice for Black women who are navigating the battlefield and you feel like you're going through it, and some of us are going through it, it is exhausting. All of the things I've shared with you, it's exhausting. But this is what I do. People say, how do you do all this? And then I pray. I'm a venter. So my sister and my husband and my bestie, I let it all out with them. I've had therapists. I let it all out, like normalize talking to a therapist and counselor, right? Yep. I'm a venter. And I don't need people to solve my problems. I'm really good about that. I need to get it off my chest. My blood pressure when I go to the doctor is perfect because I don't internalize it. If you do, it will kill you. And, we suffer from high blood pressure, cardiac disease, diabetes. Racism kills. You already heard about the cognitive decline. You have to have an outlet. Don't let people make you feel guilty for venting. Well, I don't want to dump on people. Well, they'll tell you when it's too much. You're right. I'm a venter. I pray. On the weekends, my husband and I, our weekend last weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we binge watch. We would laugh and eat snacks. I don't work on the weekends. Just
right.
It was just, we just loved it. But what I don't want to be a boss at home. When I sign off from being the boss lady at Hat,
take it off.
Take care of me, girl. And let me tell you, I am a very confident Black woman. And honey, I cuddle up in that man's lap and let him love on me. He fixes my smoothies in the morning. He listens to me vent. He vents with me. He be like, who I got to mess up, but he say another word. Like, let your people, whoever your significant other, because it's exhausting to wear that crown.
Woo.
I don't want to be the boss sometimes. I'm like, I don't want to be the boss. I let my husband take care of me. And that may sound old school, but honey, love and let somebody care for you and say self-care is not old school. That's new school. We should have been doing that all the time.
That's
let your
thing.
person, whoever your person is, let them take care of you. You don't have a person, find your village may look different. Whoever your person is, and you define that. Don't let people box you in.
Right.
People take care of you. And when you just want an outlet, and don't let people gaslight you, making you think you going crazy.
Right. That part. Ooh, that's a whole other show.
Yes, it was shade. Was that a microaggression? No, it was not a micro. It was an aggression. Was that racism? It was. Don't explain away their mess. You felt it. It's what it was. But remember this. There is no one more magnificent than Black women. Period.
Yeah. I felt that. My goodness. Well, listen, Dr. Linnie Carter, APR, because I'm gonna get all the letters in there. My goodness, thank you so very much for coming on Education is Freedom, spending time with me this evening and our audience, and spending time with me beforehand, because we had a conversation beforehand, y'all, and that was lit too. Thank you so much for being my guest this evening, and to all of you who continue to tune in. I'm personally inviting you to stay plugged in to Education is Freedom every second and fourth Tuesday of the month on all major podcasting platforms under the She Is Still Dope network. Until next time, keep shining and never stop learning.